Welcome to the Weekly Homicide Report, the weekly program where we talk about all the people that needlessly died at the hands of another person. So let's take a look at this week's graph. Chicago had 21 homicides last week. This is the second time in 4 weeks they've had over 20, and sixth time this year. They literally had at least one murder every day last week. Philadelphia had 3 homicides, the lowest number they've had since I started keeping track in mid-February. They also had their 25th mass shooting, which didn't result in any deaths. Baltimore had 6 homicides, which is their weekly average. Milwaukee had 2 homicides, which is pretty good, since their weekly average is twice that. 2021 was a record year for Milwaukee, and this year they had 23 more homicides than they had at this time last year. 84% of the victims are black, 91% are shootings, and only 40% have had charges filed. Washington, D.C. had 5 murders, which is slightly above their weekly average of 4. And Minneapolis did not record a single homicide, which hasn't happened since I started keeping track about 3 months ago. There were 10 mass shootings. I covered them all in a previous video. The most popular and deadliest was the University of Virginia football players shooting, which resulted in the deaths of 3 and injuries to 2 others. I'm adding in school shootings this week because we average around 1 per week, and I don't think people realize just how common they are. We all heard about Uvalde and this University of Virginia one as well, because that was well covered by the media. But they happen often. There were 2 this week, the University of Virginia one, as well as one in Orlando, Florida, where 1 was killed and 2 injured in the parking lot of Jones High School. 19-year-old Jermaine Patrick Brown suffered a fatal gunshot wound. This school has a 91% graduation rate, yet gets a 2 out of 10 rating for test scores, which suggests that students are not performing at grade level. The school is 90% black and 9% Hispanic, with 7% of the students being foreigners still learning English. 5 kids under the age of 11 and 25 between the ages of 12 and 17 were shot and killed this week. Both of those numbers are unfortunately considered a good week and are slightly better than average. There were 20 defensive use of a firearm incidents, resulting in the loss of lives of 10 American criminals. I covered a couple of these stories. It's good to see America fighting back, but we need far more of these stories before any changes will take place. I'm also adding in police officers who died in the line of duty, and this week there was 1 officer, Brandon Sy, who died in a vehicle pursuit. 198 officers, as well as 23 canine officers, have died in the line of duty this year. That's 1 officer, on average, being killed in the line of duty every 39 hours. Well, that's all I have for you today, but I'll be back next week with the week 47 numbers. Until then, have a great week, and I'll catch you next week. Support this channel and pick yourself up some original crime-related apparel. Look for the link in the description.